Welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining me today. If you love coins, hidden treasures, and the incredible stories that can turn everyday pocket change into legendary fortunes, you are in exactly the right place. Today we're diving deep into a coin that most people would never give a second glance, a small silver-colored piece that once passed quietly through millions of hands. Yet under the right circumstances, with the right combination of errors, mistakes, and mint mark mysteries, this coin has been whispered about as being worth an astonishing $511.5 million. This is the story of the Liberty One dime dated 1980 with the D mint mark from the United States, a coin whose potential value goes far beyond its modest face value and into the realm of numismatic legend. At first glance, the 1980 D Liberty dime looks completely ordinary. It is small, thin, and lightweight, with a face value of just 10 cents. Millions of Americans spent these coins without ever imagining that one of them could someday be discussed in the same breath as priceless works of art or rare historical artifacts. Yet coin collecting has always been full of surprises, and history has shown again and again that the smallest details can make the biggest difference. Tiny errors, subtle minting mistakes, unusual die varieties, and rare mint mark anomalies can transform a common coin into something extraordinary. The 1980 D dime is a perfect example of how this transformation can happen. To understand why this particular dime has captured so much attention, we need to step back and look at the era in which it was produced. The year 1980 was a time of change in the United States. Inflation was high, the economy was under pressure, and the U.S. Mint was producing enormous quantities of coins to meet the demands of daily commerce. Speed and efficiency were critical, and when mints are operating at such high volumes, mistakes can and do happen. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark, was one of the busiest facilities, striking millions upon millions of dimes that year. In such an environment, the conditions were ripe for errors to slip through unnoticed. The Liberty dime design, featuring the familiar profile of Liberty on the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, had already become an icon of American coinage. Most people knew this design simply as the Roosevelt dime, but the symbolism of liberty remained at its heart. By 1980, this design had been in use for decades, and while the basic appearance was well known, subtle variations in striking quality, die condition, and minting pressure could create coins that were dramatically different from the norm. These differences are where the story of extreme value begins. One of the most important factors that can elevate a coin's worth is the presence of mint errors. In the case of the 1980 D dime, collectors and researchers have speculated about several types of errors that, if found together on a single coin, could push its value into unimaginable territory. These include off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, and even wrong planchet errors. An off-center strike occurs when the coin blank is not properly aligned with the dies, resulting in a design that is shifted to one side. While minor off-center strikes are relatively common and usually not worth much, a dramatic off-center strike that still shows a full date and mint mark can be incredibly rare and valuable. Double strikes are another fascinating possibility. This happens when a coin is struck more than once by the dies, creating overlapping or ghosted images of the design. On a dime as small as this one, a clear and dramatic double strike would be extremely unusual. If such a double strike were combined with other errors, it could become one of a kind. Broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread outward and appear larger and thinner than normal, are also highly prized when they are well defined and dramatic. Perhaps even more intriguing is the possibility of a wrong planchet error. This occurs when a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or even a different type of coin altogether. Imagine a 1980 D dime struck on a planchet meant for a foreign coin, or on a planchet with the wrong metal composition. Such an error would immediately place the coin into an elite category, as wrong planchet errors are among the most sought-after mistakes in the numismatic world. Mint mark errors play a particularly important role in the legend of the 1980 D dime. The D mint mark itself can be a source of tremendous value if something unusual is discovered. A repunched mint mark, where the mint mark was stamped more than once in slightly different positions, can create a doubled or distorted appearance. While repunched mint marks are more commonly associated with earlier coins, the discovery of such an anomaly on a modern dime would be extraordinary. Even more valuable would be a misplaced mint mark, where the D appears in an unusual location, or a mint mark that shows signs of being partially missing, filled, or malformed. Another possibility that has fueled speculation is the concept of a double die. This is different from a simple double strike. A double die occurs when the die itself is improperly manufactured, causing the design elements to appear doubled on every coin struck by that die. If a 1980 dime were found with a dramatic double die on the date, the word Liberty, or other key design elements, it would instantly become one of the most important modern dime varieties ever discovered. Strong double dies are rare in any era, and when they appear on widely collected coins, their values can skyrocket. Condition is another critical factor that cannot be ignored. Even the rarest error coin will not reach its full potential value if it is heavily worn or damaged. For the 1980 dime to even be considered in discussions of extreme value, it would likely need to be in exceptional condition, possibly mint state or even proof-like. Coins that have never circulated retain their original luster, sharp details, and pristine surfaces. When an error coin of this caliber is found in such condition, it becomes a numismatic masterpiece. The idea of a $511.5 million value may sound unbelievable, but history has shown that unique coins can reach astonishing prices. In the world of high-end numismatics, rarity is king. If a coin is truly one of a kind, with a combination of errors that has never been seen before and may never be seen again, its value is limited only by what the most passionate collectors are willing to pay. Wealthy collectors, museums, and private investors often compete fiercely for the rarest pieces, driving prices into the stratosphere. Another factor that adds to the mystique of the 1980 dime is the possibility that such a coin could still be out there, hidden in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten collection. Unlike ancient coins or early American rarities that have been studied for centuries, modern era coins sometimes remain undiscovered for decades. The thought that a 10-cent piece pulled from circulation could change someone's life overnight is part of what makes coin collecting so thrilling. The role of authentication and grading is also crucial in this story. For a coin to be taken seriously at such a high valuation, it would need to be examined and certified by the most respected grading services in the world. These experts use advanced technology, microscopes, and decades of experience to determine whether an error is genuine or the result of damage after the coin left the mint. Only a coin that passes this rigorous scrutiny could ever be considered for a record-breaking value. The metal composition of the 1980 dime also plays a role, even if indirectly. By this time, dimes were made of a copper-nickel-clad composition rather than silver. While this means the intrinsic metal value is low, it also means that any deviation in composition would be immediately obvious and highly significant. A dime struck on a silver planchet, or with an incorrect alloy, would be a sensational discovery. Stories and rumors have circulated among collectors about unusual 1980 dimes that show strange characteristics. Some claim to have seen examples with extreme doubling, others talk about missing elements or distorted designs that defy explanation. While many of these stories remain unverified, they contribute to the legend and keep collectors searching. Every roll of dimes, every inherited collection, every old piggy bank becomes a potential treasure hunt. The psychology of collecting also plays a role in driving value. Coins are not just metal objects, they are pieces of history, symbols of national identity, and vessels for human stories. A coin that represents a perfect storm of minting mistakes, historical context, and sheer improbability can capture the imagination in a way few other objects can. The 1980 dime, with its humble origins and extraordinary potential, embodies this perfectly. Another aspect to consider is the role of documentation and provenance. If a remarkable 1980 dime were discovered, its history from the moment of discovery would become part of its value. Who found it, where it was found, and how it was preserved would all add to its story. Coins with well-documented histories often command higher prices because their authenticity and significance are beyond doubt. Market dynamics are also important. The numismatic market, like any other, is influenced by trends, economic conditions, and collector interest. In recent years, there has been a growing fascination with error coins and modern rarities. As more people become aware that valuable coins are not limited to the distant past, demand for exceptional modern errors has increased. My dears, if you love coins, hidden treasures, and the idea that something small in your pocket could secretly be worth a fortune, then you are absolutely in the right place. Now we are diving deep into a coin that most people would never look at twice, a coin that once bought almost nothing, yet in rare situations has shocked collectors and auction houses alike. This is the story of the Liberty 1 dime 2000D USA coin, a humble 10-cent piece that can, under extraordinary circumstances, be worth an astonishing $6,620,000, a value so far removed from its face value that it almost sounds unbelievable. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may never look at your spare change the same way again. The Liberty 1 dime has always carried a special place in American coinage. The dime itself represents one of the smallest denominations in circulation, yet historically it has often been one of the most artistically refined and technically complex coins produced by the United States Mint. By the year 2000, the dime had already undergone decades of evolution, from the classic Liberty designs of the early 20th century to the Roosevelt dime that most people recognize today. However, the spirit of liberty, the ideals of freedom, independence, and national identity, still lived on in the symbolism and legacy behind every dime struck. The year 2000 was a remarkable moment in American history. It marked the beginning of a new millennium, a time filled with optimism, uncertainty, and rapid technological change. Coins minted during this year were produced in enormous quantities to meet the demands of commerce, vending machines, banks, and daily transactions. Among these was the 2000D dime, struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark. Millions upon millions of these coins entered circulation, handled casually, spent without thought, dropped into jars, wallets, and cash registers across the nation. Under normal circumstances, a 2000D dime is worth exactly 10 cents. In circulated condition, it carries no premium at all, and even in uncirculated condition, most examples are only worth a small amount above face value. This is why the story becomes so fascinating, because within this massive sea of ordinary dimes exist extremely rare errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies that transform a simple coin into a legendary collectible. To truly understand how a 2000D Liberty 1 dime could be worth millions, we need to understand how coins are made and how things can go wrong. Coin production is a highly precise process involving blank metal discs, dies engraved with designs, immense pressure, and strict quality control. However, no system is perfect, and when mistakes happen at just the right moment, they can create something completely unique. One of the most valuable possibilities lies in major minting errors. A mint error is not damage that happens after the coin leaves the mint, but a flaw that occurs during the manufacturing process itself. These errors are highly sought after because they represent a moment when the minting system failed in a rare and unusual way. Imagine a 2000D dime struck on the wrong planchet, such as a planchet intended for another denomination or even another metal entirely. If a dime were struck on a silver planchet, a copper planchet, or a foreign coin blank, its weight, color, and composition would immediately stand out. Such off-metal errors are among the most dramatic and valuable mistakes in modern coinage. A verified example of a 2000D dime struck on a wrong metal planchet, especially if it escaped the mint and remained in high condition, could command astronomical prices. Another possibility involves double die errors. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions during its creation, causing parts of the design to appear doubled on the finished coin. This doubling can be seen in letters, numbers, mint marks, or design elements. On a dime, this could appear in the date, the word Liberty, or other inscriptions. While minor doubling is common and often worthless, strong, dramatic double die errors are extremely rare and can be incredibly valuable. If a 2000D dime were discovered with bold, clearly visible doubling that was confirmed as a true double die and not machine doubling, its value would skyrocket. Mint mark errors are another key factor in the potential million-dollar valuation. The D mint mark indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. However, mint mark anomalies such as missing mint marks, misplaced mint marks, repunched mint marks, or mint mark struck over another mint mark can all add tremendous value. For example, a 2000 dime that should have a D mint mark but is missing it entirely due to a minting error would be highly unusual. Conversely, a dime showing evidence of a D mint mark punched over another mint mark, even if that other mint mark was never intended for that coin, would represent a remarkable error. There is also the possibility of transitional errors. Transitional errors occur when a mint accidentally uses old dies, old planchets, or outdated design elements during a period of change. While the year 2000 was not a major transition year for dime design, any confirmed transitional anomaly tied to production changes, experimental materials, or test strikes could elevate a coin into legendary status. Another factor that cannot be overlooked is condition. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin graded as mint state or proof-like, with no wear, sharp details, and original luster, is far more valuable than one that shows signs of circulation. If a rare error 2000D dime were preserved in near-perfect condition and professionally graded by a top grading service, its value could multiply many times over. Professional grading is essential in establishing a coin's legitimacy and value. When a coin is authenticated, graded, and encapsulated by a respected grading company, it gains credibility in the eyes of collectors and investors. A coin rumored to be worth millions must be backed by undeniable evidence, expert analysis, and documented provenance. Without this, even the most spectacular error would remain a curiosity rather than a treasure. The idea of a 2000D Liberty One dime reaching a value of $6,620,000 also depends heavily on collector demand and market psychology. Coin values are not determined solely by rarity, but by how much collectors are willing to pay. In cases where a coin represents a one-of-a-kind error, a first-of-its-kind discovery, or an anomaly that challenges what experts thought was possible, bidding wars can erupt. Wealthy collectors, museums, and investors may compete fiercely to own such a piece, driving prices to unimaginable levels. Another important aspect is historical narrative. Coins with a story often command higher prices than those without. A 2000D dime discovered decades later, pulled from circulation by chance, recognized as an unprecedented error, and brought to public attention through auctions and media coverage would carry a powerful story. That story adds emotional and historical value, transforming the coin from a piece of metal into a symbol of rarity and chance. There is also the influence of modern collecting trends. In recent years, interest in error coins and modern rarities has grown significantly. Collectors are no longer focused only on ancient coins or early American issues. Instead, they are fascinated by the idea that modern coins, even those they grew up using, can hold extraordinary value. This shift in mindset has pushed prices higher for rare modern errors, especially those with clear documentation and dramatic visual impact. The 2000D dime exists at the perfect intersection of modern production and human imperfection. It was minted during a time of high output, when speed and efficiency were prioritized. This environment, while highly controlled, also increases the chance that rare mistakes can slip through unnoticed. When such a mistake survives, avoids destruction, and reaches the hands of a collector, it becomes a time capsule of that moment. One of the most exciting aspects of this story is accessibility. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums or ultra-rare gold pieces held by elite collectors, the 2000D dime is a coin that could, in theory, still be found today. It could be sitting in an old coin jar, a forgotten roll from a bank, or a collection inherited from a family member. This possibility fuels the imagination of collectors and everyday people alike. Searching for valuable dimes requires patience, knowledge, and careful observation. Collectors often examine coins under magnification, checking weight, diameter, thickness, and design details. They compare suspected errors to known examples, consult reference books, and seek expert opinions. While the odds of finding $1 million dime are incredibly small, the thrill of the hunt keeps people searching. It is important to remember that not every unusual dime is valuable. Many marks, scratches, and imperfections occur after a coin leaves the mint and are classified as damage rather than errors. Understanding the difference between true mint errors and post-mint damage is crucial. True errors show characteristics consistent with the minting process, such as metal flow lines, consistent doubling, or anomalies that could only occur during striking. The idea of a dime worth millions challenges our perception of value. It reminds us that value is not always tied to size, material, or original purpose. A 10-cent coin was designed to facilitate everyday transactions, yet under the right circumstances, it can become a priceless artifact. This transformation speaks to the power of rarity, history, and human fascination with the unexpected. The Liberty One dime, even in its modern form, carries the legacy of a